Welcome, everyone. This is our conversation about this month's theme at Within Meditation. We're focused on intention and mindset. And so we're going to be exploring those two ideas over the course of the next hour. Before we begin, I would love to have Stephanie. Steph, if you can lead us in a brief grounding meditation just to get us all settled here together, that would be fantastic.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you. So, I'd like to invite you to just find a comfortable seat and allow your eyelids to close or let your gaze find the floor. And turn your awareness to your breath. Don't try to control your breath, just notice it. And breathe in deeply through your nostrils, slowly controlling your exhale out through your nostrils. Relaxing your shoulders with every exhale out. Noticing the temperature in the space that you're in. And how your clothes feel on your body. Think back to the moment you woke up this morning. Did you lie in bed a while or did you get right up? And remember doing your hygiene routine. And getting dressed. And maybe one conversation you had before this group session. And the moment that you turned on this Zoom link to join this intentional session. And now you're here in this moment. Allow yourself to be in this moment. Breathe in. Breathe out. And when you're ready, allow your eyelids to float open.
Thank you, Steph. That was lovely. I'd love to start the conversation just by having each of the three teachers who are going to be a part of it introduce yourselves. You can share whatever you'd like to share about um, who you are as a meditation teacher or what your influences are. Whatever springs to mind that you'd like to share. Steph, why don't you start us off?
Thank you. I'm Stephanie Osborne. I live in New Orleans. I'm a meditation guide and a yoga instructor. And I've been studying or practicing meditation for about 25 plus years. And I was just named the Ambassador of Wellness, the official Ambassador of Wellness for the city of New Orleans, which is a big deal. And I go into corporations, schools, and universities and guide meditation. My intention is to help folks cultivate experiences in stillness. And I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Steph. How about you, Herky?
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Herky Chopra. I grew up in India, and I grew up with lots of wisdom teachings and meditation and an enlightened master. I moved to the US when I was about 21 years old. I went the corporate route. I did my MBA and then a project management. And I still work as a program manager, but my deepest passion and something that helps me go with the flow of life is meditation. I use mindfulness in my parenting journey. I use mindfulness at work. I also have a lot of other blended meditation practices that are spiritual and that just help me live a more present life. Um, mhm.
Thank you,
That-
Ricky. Yeah, go ahead, Devon.
Yeah, that leaves me. My name is Devon Pipars, and I started my meditation practice in 2002. And about 10 years after practicing, I met my guru in India, also a realized being, and lived in India for 4 years, just doing the freedom trip, going for going for enlightenment and understanding what meditation is and what it's not. And for me personally, the practice has been deeply transformative. I used to be a very anxious and nervous and worried kind of human being. The peace that I have received through my practice has been oh, just such a gift, such a grace. So meditation is my passion and it's my purpose. And like Herky, I use a variety of techniques and approaches, but my favorite, I think, is just delving into the world of Advaita Vedanta, which is my lineage, which means non-duality, and just exploring how we can be free as human beings in this lifetime. Yeah.
Thank you, Devon. I'm so glad the three of you are here to talk about today's theme. I'm really curious about what we'll uncover together. So the very first question that I wanted to ask before we go anywhere else is just to ask, what do we even mean about what we're talking about? So in particular, the word intention is we use actually in daily life fairly frequently, so it's a bit clearer to me, but I would love to hear for each of you, when you think of mindset, what does that mean to you? How do you use that term in your own life or in the way that you teach? What does it mean to you? And whoever would like to jump in first, go for it.
I'll jump in. For me, mindset is the lens through which I'm viewing the world. So I almost like to imagine it like I'm wearing a pair of glasses or goggles. And like what shade or what tone, what is the quality of the lens that I'm looking through? And that is something that we always have power over within ourselves. So for instance, we can try it out right now. Like in this moment, if we were to say to ourselves, oh, this day sucks. It's going to be so hard to get through. I'm not looking forward to it, right? When you say that to yourself and you feel that in your body, like I just felt my shoulders slump and my breath kind of sink and my chest sort of cave and my energy drop versus a mindset like, oh, it's Friday. It's almost the weekend. I wonder what this conversation is going to be. What a beautiful opportunity to connect. Like, I wonder what I'm going to learn today, how I'm going to grow today, right? And if I try that on, I just feel like a little bit more energy rising, a little bit more lightness and a sense of interest and curiosity in what this day might deliver. So for me, just like playing and pretending and trying on these different lenses through which I see the world really make me see how my internal choice affects my external perception of everything. And my internal mindset also transforms or informs my own thoughts and my words and my actions and my experience. So even though we can't control a lot of the external situation, sometimes we do always have the power to shift our internal perspective, which thereby sort of informs our experience of that external world. So to me, mindset is a very, very powerful tool. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Devon. I agree that it can be a positive way of looking at things. Also, as far as it varies, it could be about abundance. Like, do you have an abundant mindset or a poverty mindset? And abundance could look like there's more than enough to go around. And poverty mindset could look like if I win, you lose, or if I lose, you win, or living with a fear of lack. And so, the way that you think ultimately determines the direction that you're going into. And so that's why mindset is so important, to notice your mindset. And oftentimes we don't even notice our mindset because it's an automatic thing. It's something that we've been doing for a while, or a way of thinking for a while. And so the awareness of how we think and is really helpful in shifting the direction that we're going into.
Yes, pretty much what Devin and Steph said. One is the perspective that you're seeing, which glasses have you put on, and the awareness piece. So if you're not self-aware, you don't know what narrative, the story of the mind that's going on. I think that that's where meditation is such a great tool for us to remember. You wake up in the morning and your mind presents you with, and again, based on different people, different circumstances. And I know my mind in the morning is not as at most times is not giving me very good information to feed off of. It depends on what it is, right? And I can see, and I've gotten so used to saying, interesting, as if I'm like watching another person, or watching the show, the drama unfold, and the things that the narrative that it presents me, the anxiety, the lack, the fear. And then over the years, I guess with practice, it has shifted, as in moment you see it, somehow it either slows down or begins to shift. And then you're also able to challenge your thoughts. I love how Byron Katie's 4 questions of your thoughts, is it true? Is it absolutely true? And then how your thoughts make you feel. How does that make you feel? And the last question is, who would you be if you didn't have that thought? And more often than not, it's the answer is, I would be so free. And that's the delicious taste of freedom, when you're not trapped in your own mind, and using growth mindset versus when challenges and obstacles come, not going with the doom and gloom, but not entering victim identity. Takes a little bit of pull to shift from that into, how can I make progress? What baby steps can I take? What is going right in my life? How can I access gratitude? So I think there's a lot to play around when it comes to mindset.
Oh, that I have a question based on what Herky just shared. Herky, can you talk more about a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset?
Yeah. So if a challenge or an obstacle comes, and let's say you've not technically, like you've failed in something, and in an endeavor that you were trying to do, a fixed mindset would be putting yourself as rejection, failure, not worthy, and keep on going in that cycle of and whatever that leads to, whether it's guilt, shame, not wanting to do, versus looking at, what has this experience taught me? How can I shift? And I know in schools, at workplaces, it's becoming very common now to teach the growth mindset too, for leaders, for employees. How can we learn from this experience? How can we grow? How can we shift? So a fixed mindset is pretty set, the way, like the word says, and onto, this is how it is, or drawing conclusions from past experience, and just, I have never been able to hike and I can never go hiking. So are you able to challenge that thought? Are you able to try out new things? So,
Thank you.
A question that comes up for me from everything the three of you have just said is, it seems like there are these two steps where you become aware of what you're thinking in the first place. What mindset am I already in? Like you said, Steph, you don't even realize. And then you bring some awareness to that. Okay, what mindset am I in? And then if you have a desire to shift, if you recognize the mindset you're in isn't helping you, isn't serving you, what can you do to shift it?
Well, thank you, Hannah, for asking that. I think that the awareness comes first. The awareness, so it's like you can't shift what you're not aware of. And when you become aware, um, metta, loving kindness, so being gentle with yourself, and having compassion for your challenge, and then maybe making a plan, a gentle plan to move forward, and maybe adding one thing a day that, with affirmations, or even just sitting with the mindset, and investigating. So, asking, like, where did that come from? It's like, why am I thinking that way? Like, investigating how you were raised, and some of the programming, and traditions in your family that cause you to believe a certain thing, and also, of course, again, just being gentle with yourself.
Yeah, I love that, Steph. And just to add to that too, it's like starting with the acceptance and the self-compassion through the awareness and the curiosity, investigating the why, or the where did this come from, but also sort of like the little game I played where, we tried on the two different mindsets. That's kind of how I like to play with it too. To just see how it feels in my system when I change that belief or that thought. So maybe it'd be a good time to sort of share some different mindsets that we all like to try on. If that's, I mean, one that I was a big fan of during COVID was the allowing mindset. Like, can I let myself feel my feelings? Can I honor that this is hard, or that there's fear, or that, there's uncertainty and I don't know how it's going to work out. And still, in that allowing, we can also choose maybe a gratitude mindset. So it's like, I'm feeling my feelings and I'm looking through the goggles of gratitude. So what is the good that I do have within me and around me still, so that I can kind of keep my heart full of natural positivity, which is my resilience as I move through this hard time or challenging time. So those are two that I like: allowing and gratitude. Opportunity, like Herky was saying about the growth mindset. What is the opportunity for me in this moment? Whether it's a challenging moment or a pleasant moment, what am I taking away? What am I learning here? What is the lesson here? Where's the growth in this moment available to me that I might miss out on if I'm concluding and judging this moment as either great or bad, right? And I loved Steph's example of the abundance versus scarcity mindset, and just like, it's something that I relate to, the scarcity mindset. It's a trigger for me. My mind is always like, how's it gonna work out? Is it gonna be okay? But looking back, even just systematically at your life, and seeing that your survival, your success rate is 100%. You've made it to this moment. You've made it through every moment, whether that was really hard or really unpleasant or really great and inspiring. You have made it all the way up to this moment. So, kind of proving to my mind, hey, the story that you're running here, it's not necessarily true. And we have the power through that awareness to shift it. So those are a few that I like, but I'm curious to hear from the other teachers what mindsets you all like.
Yeah. The first example you gave, I think for me, tapping into the body has helped me a lot. And we're talking of mindset, but for emotions, I feel like I grew up stuffing a lot of my emotions, and on my journey, I've started trusting whatever is showing up and connecting where the emotions are showing up in my body, allowing. Um, and if I am facing a situation, again, trusting the unfolding of whatever is happening, accepting that moment by moment. And sometimes it's not pretty, and but it is what it is. Um, and just sometimes I used to tap into surrender a lot, and not that I don't now, but a delicate balance between this is the moment of surrender and complete surrender. And then sometimes it's the moment of picking up, getting up. And if you're down low, begin with washing your face. You know, sometimes it is that. And it is, and I, as a mom, for me, I sometimes do it. My motivation is my children, and I show up for them. But when you tap into your resilience and you see that how you're able to shift, again, not just being a victim of circumstances that are being presented to you or other people, but more into tapping into that inner strength. The more you draw into it, the more you draw into your own intuition. I think all these really help you to stay afloat. And not only that, also tapping into the fullness of the moment, because there is no dearth of what is wrong with this moment, what is wrong with my life, what is wrong with my work, relationships. When you shift that narrative into what is right, just this morning I was thinking, you know, in Indian dramas, often if anything goes wrong, there's this typical scene that's played out that the character will go and blame God and say, why, how could you do this to me? I put all my faith in you. So whatever is your, you know, universe, or whatever is your belief, I feel like we don't acknowledge enough. I was seeing, as I was driving, I was feeling the warmth of my socks, and then the warmth of my coat this morning, and the ability to have like the car and just getting into like the small little moments, the sunshine when there is no sunshine, how much I miss that. We don't tap into that enough. We are quick to judge what is missing. So that's where reframing your mindset really helps.
One of the things I love about what we're touching on here is the distinction between the being at choice about your mindset, about like I can choose which perspective I'm taking, which glasses I'm putting on, and ignoring what's present. Like it's not about pushing everything down. Everything's fine, I'm putting on my happy face. It's not a happy face. It's an actual shift of I can see the world differently. Which is I think like it can be tricky territory. Like once you get used to navigating it, you start to get used to, okay, I can put these glasses on or off. But I'd be curious to hear from you, from the three of you, like where do you think the what's the question that I'm trying to ask about it? It's like, what is the difference for you, the way you think about it, between ignoring what is not working and shifting your perspective about to a different mindset about what's not working? Anything you'd like to say about that idea?
Yeah, I love that question because when there's an issue, are you going to take action with it? And so I'm a very action oriented person, but sometimes I don't want to feel, you know, I just want to fix. And so sitting with whatever comes up and then making a decision, you know, being with what is, allowing those emotions to come up, and then am I answering that question? Can you ask that question again?
Yeah. What the question I was trying to ask is, what's the difference between ignoring, like if you're facing a situation you're not comfortable with, that you have clearly a mindset that's not working for you about, what's the difference between just stuffing down the sense that it's not working and actually shifting your mindset about it?
Thanks. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. It's the allowing. That's what I was initially saying. Yeah, it's the allowing things to be as they are, and then choosing to shift. So and when you shift, you're not acting like that thing doesn't exist. You can either accept what is, knowing that you have no control over it, or take action to adjust. But still, yesterday I had this situation where I was struggling with something, and I was laser focused on it, and so I had a worried mindset, and then a thought came up, which was, what is important? What is important? And so I thought, oh, this is important. So I knew that that other situation was still there. I wasn't acting as if it wasn't, but something else was more interesting to me, which was what was important to me. And so I turned my attention to that, and it actually shifted my vibration because I focused on the thing that really is important. And a lot of times we focus on things, our mindsets go to, the worry, focusing on things we can't control. And I am my grandmother named me a worry wart. So it's like when Devon said early on that she kind of got through that, I'm thinking I need to have a session with you. But yeah, it's definitely an effort for me, and I really like to just be and try to be effortless, but it is an effort for me to constantly be aware of, oh, what am I thinking? And how can I shift it to feel better, but also accept what is.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, this is not about toxic positivity, wherein, hey, it's all sunshine and rainbows. Yeah, like it's all going great, wonderful. But more about acknowledging. And even when we talk of accepting, we're not saying that we are going to succumb or be passive about what it is or close our eyes to things that are important. Because sometimes there are signals coming to us if we are not in the, in a state of mind that is agitated. I think it's good to also see where the root of the agitation is coming from, and then seeing what action you can take to shift, or what, whether you need to reframe your experience or actually take action. It's seeing for what it is. So even if you require a shift in a relationship or a job, saying that it's perfect or just staying in that rut of, this is, I hate it so much, I don't like it, I can't wait to get away, doesn't get us in making a radical change in that change that we are seeking. I think it is seeing with what it is, seeing the reality of the as is of the moment and where it stands, and then seeing how we can, if we do, want to shift, seeing where is it serving me now, what can I accept, what can I change, and what can I let go, and then taking one of those routes, combining that and seeing it. But definitely not. I had a client and she has been into like gratitude list and writing, which is great, but she was going through a very difficult time and was finding it very hard to access gratitude. What was happening was gratitude and guilt were dancing together, and she was like, I did my list this morning. And sometimes even gratitude becomes such a mental game versus the beingness of that experience. And I was like, the first thing you're going to do is stop writing your list, gratitude list, because we are going into more in depth into what is happening and seeing and being more present with your experience. And then perhaps, we can shift into gratitude or see what is accessible to you. So don't ignore your internal landscape just for what it should be or what it must look like.
Yeah, I love what's been said already by the other ladies, but like for me, I'm not a stuffer anymore. I have been, but I realized that what I resist persists. It's not gone just because I stuff it down. It's just going to come out sideways, right? In some way. Um, and so, ignoring is not effective. It's not bringing awareness. It's not shedding the light of awareness onto the situation. So, but approaching whatever I'm experiencing through that lens of curiosity, of interest, like what is this, say, guilt? What is it trying to show me? What is that underlying belief? Where is this coming from? Obviously, I've made something so real that it's become an emotion that's palpable in my body. So this is a pretty deep founded belief, and this emotion is asking me to inquire. It's asking me to look and assess and maybe grieve something. Maybe it's an idea that I have about the person that I think I should be rather than the person that I am. But again, when we're looking through awareness, for me, the energy of awareness is acceptance. awareness doesn't have a preference for the moment, whether it's good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. So if I'm looking through that neutrality of awareness, I can accept and sit with all parts of myself and choose with the functioning of my mind. Which lens am I going to look through in this moment? And I totally resonate with what, when Herky said this is not toxic positivity. That's such an important point. We're not advocating spiritual bypassing, because I feel like a fixed mindset, even a positive fixed mindset, can be as harmful as a negative fixed mindset. If I'm saying, I'm a happy person, I'm a happy person, I'm a happy person, and I'm not feeling that inside myself, the cognitive dissonance will, the judgment, the self-criticism, the sense of failure, the sense of, why isn't this working? Why am I not happy in this moment, right? It kind of enhances our suffering. So being easy and as Steph said, like just starting with compassion and patience and looking through that lens of neutral awareness and recognizing that life and us as an extension of life is a process of observing and beginning again, pivoting, constantly just recalibrating. Okay, I've been going in this direction, I've been following this energy. Oh, because I'm aware, I notice the effect that it's having on me and my system. Do I choose that? Or am I going to choose to pivot in a different direction and just begin again? And I think that as human beings, we hold ourselves to this impossible standard of, I need to stabilize my happiness. It has to be the same all the time, or I have to stabilize my sense of peace or my awareness in this moment. And that's just not the way consciousness or life sort of ebbs and flows, so it's like the easier we can be with ourselves in the positive or the negative without concluding or judging ourselves in one way or the other, I think that takes us that puts us back into a place of power and freedom.
Thank you all for elaborating on that. That was really helpful. I want to pause for a moment and ask if either of you who are here with us in the conversation, if there's anything that any questions that you have that you'd like us to answer.
Well, right now I don't have any questions. Actually, today I'm really in this mood that I just want to listen to you. And maybe I can just add one thing about the mindset that you were talking about earlier. And I just witnessed, sorry, I just witnessed myself how powerful and important mindset is, if not the key to unlock our head, to open and be free. And from my own experience, my life changed so much to a point that I could do absolutely everything I wanted. And what was keeping me in this mindset of scarcity and fear was just the mindset. And as soon as I started working with within and learning what meditation is and opening up, everything changed so much. So it wasn't really the circumstance and the outside, but it was just me. So that was like, I think, the key to the beginning of the change, let's say. And thank you so much for the conversation. I'm really enjoying it.
I'm so delighted to hear all of that. Devon, did you have the response you wanted to give?
I just thank you, Dora. That was beautiful. And it reminds me again, like the name of our community, change comes from within, right? And as you say, it's like that internal state informs your perception of the external. So when you reconnect to that peace or that love or that fulfillment inside of yourself, then you start to see and recognize more of that in the world around you too. I think that's really beautiful. Thanks for sharing your journey.
Yeah, I'm really struck by how much our that we think that the thing we need to control is the outcome, and the thing that we can actually control is the mindset and the intention, which I would love to talk a little bit about now too, because that's the other piece of this conversation. And when we, like I said at the beginning, I think intention is a little bit more straightforward than mindset, but I would still love to explore why do you think that intention is important? What role does intention play in this game that we're talking about, that we play with our heads, about the way that we walk in the world? And any of Herky or Devon or Steph, please chime in. Why do you think intention is important?
Yes, intention is so important because it reveals the direction that we're going in. And so when you know where you're going, that everything is more clear in your life. And so it's really important to set an intention. Even when we're going along and we don't know, someone might say, what's your intention? It redirects you. Oh, where am I going? What am I doing? You know, so.
Yeah, like activating our inner GPS. You sit in your car and you know where you have to go. And even if even if the intention is I'm going to just enjoy the drive, but that is an intention and it keeps bringing you back to what your intention is. And I think instead of just being whatever is being thrown at you and just juggling whatever life circumstances bring you, intentions put you back to what is important to you. So if you know that you value family or you value connection, then your intentions, whether it's day-to-day intentions or intentions for your life, can be structured based on that. And why they're different from very fierce goals and outcomes is they're not like very performance-based. They're more like where the flow of life you want it to be. So if one of my intentions is to be with my children and to spend more time with them, and if the life that I'm living is if I spend 17 hours at work, then obviously there is a misalignment. And intention will give me that structure to come back to what I want. And again, if I seek connection, then maybe how can I just wanted to give a little example that I was sharing with a coworker today, that sometimes we have intentions that are not always what we wanted it to be. So just very simple intention is to have meal times together. But lately I've been seeing that meal times have become a struggle with somebody's practice, somebody's school, with maybe, you know, things going around the house, and how we have to remain flexible into how best can we do it. So in my own family, I knew that we can do it. You know, the meal times are becoming a little bit of struggle. And yes, I could make some changes around that, but instead we came to a smaller intention of gathering, you know, for 10 minutes with our drink. I have my warm cup of tea and somebody has milk or somebody has juice, whatever they're, you know, this thing, just a way of us to come together. So whether it's those kind of intentions or bigger intentions, like I want to write a book or I want to, you know, work as this teacher or do this, then you start to live and make choices. Basically, you're not an autopilot and you start making those type of choices and conscious decisions.
For myself, I think that I've learned through banging my head against a wall enough times that I actually have no control over the results of my actions. And letting go of that, of taking responsibility for whether something is successful or it fails, whether something sticks or it falls away, whether it happens in my time or in the time frame that I want to happen, or it happens in its own time. I've let go of needing to control that or believing that I control that, which was a delusion. Anyway, so I feel relief in letting go of the results of my actions, but I feel like, you know, maybe I'm terrible at setting goals, and I am, but I am good at holding an intention in this moment of just reminding myself that anything I'm doing, I choose to show up the best that I can. And you know, my intention is often to be an expression of love in action, and let that intention inform my own thoughts and my words and my actions. And so I feel a bit like, instead of the planner of the route, I'm kind of a conscious co-creator, but I'm watching the route sort of unfold in front of me as I consciously participate with it. And that brings relief to me, just because I feel like I tried for so many years and so hard to force a path, and feeling the sort of fatigue and the depletion and the sense of frustration when it wasn't going the way that my mind thought it should, or how I wanted it to. So there's a sense of kind of sweet and spontaneous collaboration with life now, when I keep my intention to what is my absolute domain. It's just over myself. Yeah, my intention in every interaction, my intention in the projects that I show up for, I have all of the control over that. I have no control over how it's received. And then recalibrating, just as I said, in each and every moment, recognizing the impact or the effect of the results of your actions. If it was something that had a negative effect on another person, what's beautiful is I know doubtlessly that was not my intention. And in that moment, I can sincerely say that that was not my intention, and apologize and take responsibility for that misunderstanding, right? Or, if someone feels the effect of what was my intention, beautiful, all the better. But it's like just being really present and centered in what matters most to me has been the power of intention in my life.
Sort of building
Devon,
on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steph. Go ahead.
I was going to say that, Devon, it sounds like you have a lot of allowing, and that feels like freedom, the allowing. Is that true? Is that what it is?
I think I'm lazy, but yeah, I I allow a lot. Yeah, I do allow. And also just, I'm reminded of this story that I heard in India. I don't really know the origin of it, and I might mistell it, but bear with me. I've just learned not to conclude about any particular moment anymore. And this story reflects that really well. So in an ancient village, there was a family, a husband and a wife, that had only one son. And they had one horse, and they were farmers. And so their horse was what they used to plow the fields to make their living and sustain themselves. And one day this horse breaks out of the pen and runs away. And all of the villagers come up to the family and say, particularly to the matriarch of the family, this is ancient wisdom, or sorry, the patriarch of the family, oh gosh, how terrible, like you lost your horse. How will you plow the field? You might starve this winter. And the old man just says, we shall see, right? He refuses to conclude. And the next day, his son goes out looking for the horse. He finds the horse and retrieves it, but the horse has also made a wild horse friend. So he brings back another horse. Now they have two horses, and they can plow twice as much land. And all the villagers rush to the home, and they say to the family, oh, what a boon. This is the most wonderful thing. Like, you might have an even bigger harvest this year than you've ever had. It might make you the richest people in the village. And the old man says, we shall see. And the next day, his son is trying to tame the horse. He's trying to get it, so that he can ride it and hook it to the plow. And he's thrown from the horse, and he breaks his leg very badly. And because the parents are old and the son is the one who actually does the work in the fields, the villagers rush up to the family again, and they're crying and sobbing and saying, what a disaster. This is the worst thing that could happen to your family. Now you'll be poor for sure. And the old man, we shall see. And the next day, the army marches into town, and they're drafting all of the able-bodied young men to go to war. And because their son has a broken leg, he's left behind. And again, the villagers, what do you think? They come to conclude. And the old man wisely, whatever they're concluding, we shall see. So it's just, I think I'm living in that space these days, which allows me to kind of dig in to my faith and my trust that I cannot see the greater picture through the perspective of my eyes or my mind. And that sometimes the universe has a lesson or a growth opportunity that I never could have seen ahead of time, that I never would have planned for myself. But there might be something in that, you know? So it's like, I just don't like concluding or landing on anything at the moment.
I love that. I love that story. We shall see. Yeah, it gives you a positive outlook. Like you never know. It gives you some hope. But I also wanted to mention, as far as intention is concerned, having conscious awareness around our intention, because there are times when we can have intention, but it's really not our intention. It's the intention we're holding because we were taught that this was the intention to have. And so a client recently expressed that she wanted to do well in school. She wanted to go to college. She really didn't want to go to college, but it was her intention to go because that's what her parents wanted for her. And as she, sought therapy and realized that that may not be her path, she started shifting her intention for her future and was able to communicate that more effectively to her parents. But for a long time, she was holding her parents' intention instead of cultivating her own intention based on her awareness of what she needed for herself. So it's important to be aware of your intention and wondering where is it coming from.
I'd also love to hear, sort of building off of both of those ideas, like what about when you take intention and you move it, like it's such a clear, strong intention that you move it in the direction of manifestation? Like what's the connection between clear intentions and manifestation?
I think if the manifestation, again, where is it coming from? Is it coming from conditioning? Is it coming from societal expectations? Or perhaps is it coming from a lack mindset? But if the intentions, if the manifestation, I think I really enjoyed, I took a course with Eckhart Tolle on conscious manifestation. And I love how he talks about the deep I, not the egoic I, the deeper what we want in our life. Let's say he gives the example of we want a house near the ocean, and there's nothing wrong with that intention, or we want to change our profession or something like that. But if it comes with denying what is now and feeling that only when I go near the ocean and live in that house will I find peace, will I find joy, and waiting for that versus acknowledging what is here now, and that same experience that you wish to have there, sure, you can have that intention and you can, but the important thing is to tap into that same feeling. Often it's the feeling that we are hankering for, right? I will feel peace when I go to that house. I will feel joy if I write a book. I will feel this I will feel more fulfilled if I have a relationship. But we're more tapping into that feeling state. But if you do, again, you could go for those intentions, but see what is present now for that same feeling that you're going after. And then going towards it, releasing a lot of it is, yes, working towards that intention, sure. And some of it is logical. Some of it is like, let's say you want to buy a house, you can look for houses, you can look for things, but finding that fullness here too, because as we think about, when I go for this vacation, as so many of us do, I'm going to go for my 2-week vacation off of work, and this is where I'll find my nirvana. And then 3 days, 5 days, wherever you go, that's where your mind is, right? So maybe your mind shifts right there, you encounter something, or you come back and you don't like the reality of what is present here. Just playing with that. And also, like growing up in my culture, surrender, allowing, a lot of it is very prevalent, and I think in a lot of ways it serves so well. But sometimes it is also when there's no clarity, and on one hand we're saying that we want to surrender, but on the other hand, our actions, our thoughts, our beliefs are speaking another language. What I was convinced is, I read this book, If Truth Be Told, by Om Swami, and he's an enlightened monk, and he talks of his journey and how he became, and he was always spiritually, aligned, but he was an entrepreneur, very successful millionaire. And then one day he left it all, and he was very clear about his intention that he doesn't want any more of this. And he didn't do it to run away from anything. He was very successful, but the time had come, the time was ripe for him to go to the Himalayas. And not everyone has to go away to the Himalayas, but he was very clear about his seeking and where he wanted to be in a place. So having that clarity of what is it that you want, and even if it is just that I am going to let it be, I'm going to let go, sometimes I do intentions of the day a lot, and sometimes I say, surprise me, universe. I want to play with what's being thrown at me. Then so be it. But then not being, saying something, but then doing something else. I think in our thought, speech, and action, having some alignment on that too. Yeah.
I am not the best to ask about manifestation. It's not my forte. But having said that, how does my intention play into it? Well, I like to use this analogy of, again, going back to farming. My parents are farmers. This must be it. But anyway, my job is to throw my seeds joyfully. I never know which seeds are going to take root. I never know when they're going to bloom. Depending on the quality of the seeds, I have no control over that. There's so many conditions and factors that will affect even the unseen. How come some seeds never even sprout, right? What's wrong with that seed? I don't know. How could I possibly know that with my limited human knowledge? So for me, it's like my job, as far as I've seen it with manifestation, is to keep throwing my seeds joyfully, to keep doing my best and showing up in the mindset with the intention that I have in my heart, and see what takes root, see what blooms, and nurture that, and not be bothered, or not take personally the things that don't. So that's all I would have to say about manifestation from my side.
I love to manifest. I love to create new things and set goals and say, yes, I'm gonna get that thing. And I think that first, when you have a certain mindset around what you want, what you're capable of having, what you're not capable of having. So of course, abundance and scarcity. So if you're coming from a place of abundance, I want to see. Now, some folks aren't really looking for that because they just want to enjoy being. And so that's okay also. But I like to manifest big things. So I like to think about, what is it that I want, and am I able to get it? And then when you have an intention for what you're getting and why, then your mindset helps move you in that direction. And so when you're very clear on what you're going for, it helps when your intention is very clear, it helps move you in that direction to manifest your desires. So
one of the things I love about what you were just saying, all three of you, is that it's just like we were talking about with mindset. It's about clarity. It's about being awareness and clarity, like being able to really be clear on what is happening now. What do I want? What direction do I want to be moving in? And then taking action from there. And I think what gets me so energized about this topic of intention and mindset is how powerful it is because of that. Meaning, like, it gives you power, rather than feeling like, oh, well, I just have to kind of sit here and take it, whatever it is, or nothing ever works out for me, or whatever your mindset is. It gives you the opportunity to make choices, to go after what you want, and then to be so playful and open. When I think about the difference in my mind, and sometimes this is just language, right? But the difference in my mind between a goal and an intention sometimes is that ability to to release what may happen, to be so clear on, I'm heading in this direction, this is what the way that I'm looking at it, this is what, but to be able to say, well, I don't know what may come up along the way. It's like one of my teachers sometimes talks about it as like, it is like you're playing a soccer game. This way, at least you know where you're headed. Like that's what you're aiming for, right? The net over there. And now you can navigate whatever comes up in between because you know where you're headed. If you didn't even know where the goal was, you wouldn't know how to play in that moment. So I want to thank all of you for being a part of this conversation. And sharing all of these insights and perspectives. It's so rich having all of you involved in it. And thank you for being here with us to share in the conversation. As we close here, I just want to mention a few things that are going on at Within. So first of all, we have a whole bunch of new classes for the new year. And so it's always fun to try out new perspectives from the same teachers and also from new teachers. So I certainly encourage everybody to do that. And then Devon, you want to say a few words about your course that's starting next week?
Yeah, so we've extended the registration for the Complete Meditation Toolkit. It's a 6-week course that is perfect for anyone who is wanting to get more confident with your own practice. If you're wanting to have a lot of different approaches and tools to use in your toolkit to meet yourself where you're at each and every day, maybe move yourself closer to where you want to be. This is the course for you. It also includes a half-day virtual meditation retreat. And each week we'll just have one focus, one skill, one tool that we're working on employing that build on each other as we move into the retreat and beyond. So yeah, it starts on Tuesday. Check it out on the website.
Awesome. One last thing we have coming up. At the very beginning of February, we're going to be holding a day-long retreat near San Francisco at Green Gulch Farm with my teacher. And so if you'd like to come and check that out, we would love to be able to see you in person. It's always a pleasure, as well as being able to connect on Zoom. So all the information about everything we have going on is always on our website at withinmeditation.com, and hope to see all of you again soon. And thank you again so much for such a lovely conversation.
Thank you all.
Thank
Was
you.
so meaningful to me.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Thank you for being here, Dora.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Good to have you.
Thanks.